welcome again to The Actor's Vow. This is Denise Paratrapat. How are you guys? I'm so excited that you're here today because we have such a special episode with such a cool guest. But before we get to that, let me give you some updates. We are starting a series of live interviews on the Actor's Vow Instagram at the Actor's Vow. They're going to be on Tuesday. They're called Thespian Tuesdays. And it's going to be very cool. We're going to have different guests. We're going to have your questions answered live, and you can join us. And if you can join us at the time, they're going to be at 6 p.m. Pacific time and 9 p.m. Eastern time. If you can join us at that time, the interview is going to be available after any time on the Actors Vow Instagram. This is going to be a great way in which we can interact, you can ask questions, and we can connect further. So I'm very, very excited for that. Also, yesterday, I saw The White Tiger on Netflix. If you haven't seen it, watch it. I heard so much about it. I had some expectations. I had mostly good expectations because I heard good things about it. But it honestly surpassed all my expectations. I thought the performances were great. The lead actor, Adarsh Gurav, I hope I pronounced that right. He is such a promising actor. He was so raw and vulnerable and specific in his performance. You really need to watch it. The White Tiger, it's on Netflix. And before we get to talk about this week's guest, you're gonna have to wait for it. That was bad, I'm sorry. I want to introduce the Sunday Spotlight of the week. This week's Sunday Spotlight is Savannah Bequeaith. She is actually an actress based in Dallas, which is very exciting. We usually have actors from LA or New York City. She's not only an actress, but she's an opera singer, where she started and then she got interested in acting because, of course, acting is part of opera singing. She's going to be talking about her trajectory, how she discovered acting, what acting has taught her as an opera singer, and what being an opera singer has taught her as an actress. She's also going to be talking about getting an agent and many other cool things that she's gonna give us a very different perspective from what we're used to, because she is not just an actress, but a classically trained opera singer. So I'm very excited for you to read her interview this Sunday on the Actors Vow Instagram at the Actors Vow. But if you want to find Savannah before that, her Instagram is at sav.rae, at sav.rae. Okay, so let's get to it. Our guest this week is Jared Dixon. In case you don't know, Jared is the current Aaron Burr in the Philip tour of Hamilton, which is very, very exciting. I don't know how many times you guys have watched Hamilton, the movie. I'm not gonna say how many times I have because it would probably be embarrassing at this point. But let's just say I'm a very big Hamilton fan, and I hope if you're listening this, you are too. And I love Aaron Burr. I mean, you know, all these silly quizzes online that are like, what Hamilton character are you? I always get Aaron Burr. So obviously this interview was very exciting, and getting to talk to Jared, just, you'll see it. I don't want to tell you much about the interview, but he is such a grounded person. His story and his journey is very inspiring, not only when, you know, we talk about Hamilton, but actually who he is as a person and as an artist. He is a very hardworking actor that started, you know, where you did and has made it here, but it's taken him many, many years. So I always love hearing these raw and vulnerable stories about what it really takes to make it, whatever that means, in the industry. So let me tell you a little bit about Jared. Jared was born in New York, and he went to the LaGuardia Arts High School, where he studied vocal music, and that's where he discovered acting. But he came from a family of singers already. His father is Jared Dixon. I don't know if you know him, but if you don't, you should look him up. He was a famous opera singer, and he was in the original company of Ragtime, which, funny enough, Jared was in. It was his first professional musical when he left college. So after leaving college, Jared has played characters like Benny In the Heights, Seaweed in Hairspray, Harpo in The Color Purple, and Simba in The Lion King. So he's had many cool experiences that he's going to be talking about during the interview. I could tell you about Jared forever, but I think he will do that himself better than I could do. In fact, the interview was so long that I had to put it in 2 episodes. So today you get part 1, and next week you will get part 2. Once you start listening to it, it won't even seem that long because we get very specific and we get very personal, which is a learning experience for all of us. So here we go, the moment you've been waiting for. Let's welcome Jared Dixon, aka Aaron Burr, to The Actor's Vow. Welcome, Jared, to The Actor's Vow. It's so exciting to have you here today.
Of course, thank you for having me.
Of course. I mean, before we get into it, I have to tell you, I'm totally fangirling right now. I love Hamilton, and Aaron Burr is my favorite character. So
Thank you, me too.
this is very exciting. Of course. So the first question I want to ask you is the one that I ask everybody, and that's what made you want to be an actor?
So long story short, when I was in college, I had stopped performing. I went to performing arts high school. I went to LaGuardia Performing Arts, a fame school in New York. If you know the movie, if you know the musical, that's based on Fame, is based on my school. So shout out to LaGuardia. And I went to school for liberal studies. I got my degree in English in liberal studies and minored in English and Italian. But 2 years into my my college career, I just found myself like pretty lost, a little like depressed, and my mom helped me realize that I really wanted to be a performer. So I had set out to just be a performer in any way possible. I started with recording music, and eventually I realized that I love to act. I think I knew that already, but from before in high school. But I realized it when it was absent, and so I went to see Porgy and Bess actually on Broadway, and Joshua Henry, who's a dear friend and a mentor of mine, was playing Jake. And I think for the first time seeing someone on stage that really looked like me and sounded like me is really what inspired me to become an actor. And since then, I've been in love. I was 22.
Okay, that's such an interesting story. I mean, did you sing while you were little, a child, or did it start just later on in life?
No, I've been singing my whole life. My training is in classical voice, my high school training, and my dad is a professional performer as well. So I've been around the industry my entire life. He was also on Broadway in the original company of Ragtime the Musical. And I just kind of always have been around it, and I guess learning by proxy, and just like learning from the people that I was around, and the world that my father like helped to envelop me in. So I've been doing it my whole life, but I think I decided to make it a career when I was 19.
Right, but you didn't go officially to acting school.
No, not for college. No, I never.
I love that. So many times we think you have to go to acting school to be an actor.
Yeah. I mean, you don't have to. I think you have to. You might hear my dog squeaking.
That's cute.
Playing with his toys, but you don't have to go to acting school. But I think you do have to have a certain level of desire to get into it. I think a lot of people who want to be actors young. They just want to do movies, and that's fine. Like it's great to do movies, but acting, is life, and it mirrors life. And there's more than just movies and TV. There's theater, there's musical theater, there's voice acting, there's voiceover, things, animation acting, whatever. I just always say, it would be good to go to school and kind of like hone your skills if you already have the love for it, but you don't necessarily need it to be a great actor. You just need the drive and the know-how.
Not at all. And mostly nowadays that we have the internet and books, like there's so many ways to train, for sure.
I would say I got a lot of my early skills from just reading and watching YouTube videos and stuff like that. Reading Meisner on acting, Uta Hagen's Respect for Acting,
Yes.
things like that, and just kind of like taking in that information and learning what it is to really have a process and to figure out what actually I'm doing up there. And then
Absolutely.
I have gotten some coaching, some like one-on-one coaching, but not never like a formal class.
Yeah.
And I'm not opposed to it either. It just hasn't found me.
And it worked for you that way. I
Yeah.
mean, you've done so many things, and I don't want to talk about Hamilton. So, were you a Hamilton fan before you joined the cast, or what
Absolutely.
did you think? Okay, what was your first
Absolutely.
impression of Hamilton?
The first time I heard it, I like the first quarter of the show. I was like, yeah, this is good. Like, it was what I
Okay.
expected of Lynn. It was better than In the Heights immediately. I knew that.
Mm,
Just in terms of the story he was telling, I just kind of found it like very genius, like
yeah.
immediately. But when it got to Wait for It, I really like that's when I really fell in love. That's my favorite song to perform in the show,
Mm,
and I just really identify with this character. I would love the show if Burr didn't exist in it, obviously, but I think the Burr role is really what brought me to the show, and that's why I love it so much.
right. Do you remember when it was the first time you heard it?
Yeah, it was the year the album came out. I think they had already
Mm.
opened on um, I think they had already opened on Broadway or were close to opening at the Public
When
Arena,
the
something like that.
mixtape, Hamilton mixtape came out?
No, when the first
Oh,
album
with the
came
first
out.
album. Okay, got it.
I was driving to see a friend in a show, and another friend of mine who I did In the Heights with, called me, and she was like, "You need to listen to Hamilton right now."
Hmm.
And I was like, "Oh, why?" And she was just like, "Yeah, it's great, it's wonderful, it's everything that everyone says, it's phenomenal, but you need to play Aaron Burr, so you should go listen to the
Wow.
album." And jokingly, she was kind of like, "Leslie Odom stole your role." But I stopped and I pulled the album up, I think on Spotify, or I might have downloaded it, I don't remember. And
Mm.
I just listened to it, and I honestly just fell in love. Like once it got to Wait for It, and just kind of like the silence in the at the end, right before the big
Yes.
chorus comes back. That was definitely the moment that I caught the bug. And even before then, I had heard I had heard like the demos that were on SoundCloud and stuff like
Uh-huh.
that Lynn had put out, and I saw seen some of his teasers. Like there was that video of him doing "I'm past patiently waiting, I'm passionately." He did
Hmm.
that in the train station. I was just kind of like, what is this the stuff that he's rapping? And I kind of found like all that other stuff. So I
Yeah.
was intrigued like very early on, but I definitely became a fan after hearing the cast recording for the first time.
That's awesome. And
Yeah.
then you got to audition for it. Can you tell us what the audition process was like?
Yeah, the first time I auditioned was just an open call.
Uh-huh.
It was maybe a couple months after they opened on Broadway, and they they had guys coming in for like general mail calls just to see, I guess to start building their Rolodex of people they wanted to see for now and for later. And I got called in for the general mail call. I auditioned, and it was all right. I think I made
Okay.
somewhat of an impression.
What did they make you do for the audition?
I just had you have to sing your own song, and that's it. You just come in and sing a song, and then you get a call back. Like they would give you audition side materials. That I think I got a call back, and I got the general mail packet, which was like I think it was Dear Theodosia, just to see how you sing, and
Uh-huh.
a little bit of the opening number or something like that. I don't remember exactly what it was,
Hmm.
but from that callback, nothing came from that callback, and then I got called in again later on to do an audition for to cover Lafayette Jefferson and cover Burr on Broadway, and I didn't get that one.
Mm.
But the audition was great. 2 rounds. Had a callback with Tommy Kail and Alex Lycamore, and it ended up not working out. And then I went to I went on to do Color Purple and Lion King, and during my first year in Lion King, Hamilton called me and they said they were interested in seeing me for Burr, full
Mm.
time, and I had just joined Lion King, so I had to postpone and like turn it down. So I told them I'd be available at a later date, but I just wasn't available right now. And then I left Lion King after a year and a half on the road. I was ready to pack up and like go home and not tour anymore.
I bet.
Like 2 days after I got home, or 2 days after I left Lion King, I got an email saying that Hamilton wanted to see me.
They were waiting for you.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
Kind of like perfect timing. I got an email saying that they wanted to see me for Burr, and I booked it within a week, and then I was back on the road within less than 3 weeks of leaving Lion King. It was kind of crazy.
Wow. So this was a very long process. It's not like one
Yeah,
audition
yeah,
and done. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, every audition is, I'm sure you've heard the stories like actors, going in 15 and 20 times for the
Yes.
same
Yeah.
show over the course of like 10 years. Luckily for me, it just kind of like when the iron was hot, I was able to strike.
Right.
So, even with Lion King, it took me 6 years to get into Lion King. So,
Wow. Wow.
yeah, it's a process.
Wow. Okay. And then when you got cast, let me ask you, did you feel pressure or like respect for playing that role?
Um, did I feel pressure? I didn't have any pressure because I'd learned, I think I had learned what to do or what I needed to do as a leading man playing Simba in The Lion King. I
Okay.
think I think the main thing was just like you said, I had an immense level of respect for the work and for the role,
Right.
and so I just wanted to make sure that I was meeting my own expectations like out the gate and just coming in with kind of like picking up the ball and just making my entrance into the Hamilverse like the most
Right.
dynamic I could possibly make it.
Right.
Yeah.
Why do you think they cast you as Burr instead of any other character?
Um, I don't know. I've never really thought about that. I mean,
Okay.
I know in terms of the like, the traditional look of Burr, like I'm
Hmm.
in that, family, but because Hamiltons have like they can play Burrs as well. I think what it comes down to is just um kind of like how you carry yourself, how you handle the text.
Okay.
I generally know that like, people who play Hamilton in real life are very like heady people, but
Uh-huh.
also like have some like they have like this burning fire underneath them.
Hmm.
The Burrs are that I know are a little more soft spoken
More
and
calm.
naturally more
Yeah.
calm,
Yeah.
um, more like philosophical.
Hmm.
Um,
I
and
can
that
see
I
that,
mean,
yeah.
yeah, I feel like I could play both, but I wanted to
Right.
play Burr, so
And for
I had
you
to.
personally, what is it that you think you have in common with Burr?
Just the like extreme desire to be better than you are
Hmm.
already. To that idea of like of building a legacy, of
Okay.
leading a legacy and trying to almost like one up yourself at every turn.
Hmm.
Um, I like really identify with some. I identify with a lot of the stuff that he goes through in Act One. Just the internal kind of like envy and jealousy of watching the world kind of circle around him and seeing his peers eclipse him and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Um, I identify with some of that stuff just like early in my career. I had seen a lot of my friends booking Broadway shows, TV shows, having successful music put out and stuff like that, and wondering when I was going to get my shot.
Hmm.
And it kind of, in some ways, it did make me hesitant in the same way with trusting myself. But I'd say I broke out of that,
Okay.
and so I would say like the younger me was more in tune with Bird. Like I absolutely understand like his psychology and the way that he thinks because I feel like I lived those things at least the way like presented the way it's presented in the musical.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think all actors can identify with that,
Yeah,
right? The
yeah,
waiting for your moment. Might
Yeah.
take years sometimes.
Yeah.
And
We
what
have
is the
some common experiences too.
uh-huh.
Um, he comes out of the church, and my grandfather is a preacher as well, just like
Mm,
his grandfather. Um, my father commanded respect. My father definitely commands respect. My mother,
yes.
like all of those, some of those things, and I think also just his uh his infatuation with um with women as well. Just like he was really and this is from my studies, not from the show, but he was really into like extremely intelligent women, and he was probably
Well, he seemed too angelic in the show
yeah in
at
the
some
show
point. So
yeah
yeah, it would
probably
make sense.
who knows. But there's the author that writes about him says that like in modern times he would be a feminist because he was just pro and he displayed that with both his wife and his daughter. He was just pro allowing and helping women to be seen as equal as men. He thought them just as equal and just as intelligent as men and equal to men, just about every aspect. So I respect that about him, and I try to carry myself in the same way. So we have that in common.
I had no idea. That's
Yeah, yeah,
awesome.
that's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, that's so cool. And then what was the thing that was hardest for you to empathize with about him?
um, so while I relate to the hesitance, I also it was hard for me to also play it and like um, to be to be completely. I can empathize with it, but I don't think I ever really understood completely how someone with all those facilities and all those talents just allowed himself to be stopped at so many different turns. And it's just life and luck, and some people just have bad luck, and he certainly didn't. I mean, he was born into privilege, and
Yeah.
he lost people along the way. He's had some of the ups and downs that everybody has in life, but I think I just think in his shoes, I would have been a little more active, you know.
Okay.
At
Yeah.
least how it's like I said, like how it's portrayed in the musical. I would be
Yeah.
a lot less hesitant over time, and I definitely wouldn't let somebody like Hamilton rattle me, you know. So
Okay.
that's but I find that hard, and then I think I also find it hard to while I can understand it, and I don't make any like judgments about the person that I'm portraying. Um, I find it hard to be accepting of him being pushed to violence, even with that was outside of his moral scope. Like he didn't. Both he and Hamilton actually didn't believe in dueling.
Yeah. Yeah.
And though they participated in it, they never. I believe both Burr and Hamilton actually never fired their weapons, and they were truly men of honor and just believed that things could be worked out.
Yeah.
But they were products of their time, and they were men and super
Yeah.
toxically masculine. So
Yeah.
it came to that. But
So as an actor, how did you justify that? Like not judging him in that way.
I just play what's in the show. Like whatever's given to me is what I get. What I give back. If my Hamilton's being an asshole, then it's easy. Like
Okay.
if I allow myself to see, um, if I allow myself to feel that like real envy and jealousy, it comes very easy. It's just being honest with what's given on stage, and it's so well written that it's very easy to drop into with as long as you're just listening and paying attention. So
Yeah.
it's not about like trying to justify anything or trying to understand it or forgive the character for any or judge anything. It's just playing what's there.
It just flows like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 It's actually, I mean, it's a hard show. Don't get me wrong, but it's actually very easy to play because of how well it's written and how well it's executed.
Well, I can't, talk for like playing it, but it's a very long show if you look at the time. But every time
Yeah,
I watch it or listen to it, it just goes by so fast.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
think it's the same reason. It's just written in such a way that the story just flows and you get lost in it.
yeah. I would say the last like maybe 40 minutes of the show is like everything before it just kind of like speeds through, and then you get to that last 40 minutes, and it's like it's just like really like a really good meal. You're just like trying to savor every little bit, and it really
Yes.
slows down and takes its
Yeah.
time.
The
And
mood changes for sure
yeah, yeah,
too.
yeah. And it's
Yeah.
really, I mean, it's powerful because it makes you lean in at the end of the show, you know?
Mm.
You almost don't even realize like how deep it's getting. Um,
Yeah.
you know, until um until Philip dies, you know, it after that it gets real deep.
After that, it's just
Um,
downhill. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
it had been deep before that, but you know, Philip dying, burn, like all that, it's just a powerful
No,
show.
if it catches you on a bad day, from Philip dying, it's just crying till the end of the show,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, I feel that. Okay, so my question now is the process of like once you got cast and like learning the role. Did you get to meet Lin-Manuel Miranda and talk about the role?
No, I didn't.
You did. Okay.
I mean, I got cast in the show virtually. I think he was away working on casting another company
Okay.
or something of the sort. It might have been shooting a movie or writing a movie or something. One of the million things he
Yeah.
does. Um, I actually didn't even get to work with Tommy or Alex in the room either,
Oh.
because it was a short notice replacement for Nick Walker, who was moving to. He was taking over for Ain't Too Proud, um, and so I only spent 2.5, 3 months in the show by the time I got
Mm,
in before we got
right.
shut down. So I just never really got that opportunity. I did get to meet some of the producers and some of our associate music directors
Hmm.
and consultants. So they kind of helped fill in developmentally that way. But you know, someday it'll happen.
Yeah, I'm sure. Do you think that that would have helped like questions that you had that maybe you would have wanted answered?
Um, Probably not. I mean, I have my own process, and
Okay.
I trust my process. But you know, I always feel like the more information, the better. If there's like something that I'm playing at that you know maybe Lynn saw it a different way when he was writing it,
Right.
it would be helpful to know his perspective. If you know Tommy wants it to be played a certain way, and I'm playing it another way, it would be helpful to know that. But you know, it's a part of the process. They, you know, over time, when we come back, they will be able to watch archival or come in and visit us and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
they'll be able to give me my notes. But I just never, you know, more than anything, I just wanted to meet the man and say thank you, and you know,
I'm sure. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, who doesn't want to? Yeah. So from the time you got your audition and the time you got on stage, how long did you have to prepare?
Um, so I got the audition mid-October, and I was in the show by December 23rd.
Okay.
I joined the company late October, so about a month and a half. I think maybe 8 weeks,
Wow.
something like
How was
that.
that process?
Um, Honestly, it was a blur.
Okay.
Came into the company, um, pretty much had rehearsal just about every day. I think I learned all of the blocking within like a week
Wow.
and a half, and then I was doing full run throughs by like week 3 or something
So
like
you
that.
already had your lines down the first day,
Yeah, yeah,
everything.
because I mean I knew the music and all that stuff from listening to the show for years,
Right.
and I had been studying in the weeks prior, just like making sure I knew some of my harmonies and stuff like that for the background vocals, and I think I just showed up prepared for the music side. We filled in the gaps, and it was just very easily to like you know translate to rehearsal and almost like it was very helpful that I had all that time to learn the show beforehand and just kind of like enjoy the show and appreciate it as a fan
Right.
because I came into a situation where I needed that to kind of speed up my process because I was doing a short turnaround for replacement.
Yeah, that's a very short time to learn such a long show. How much freedom did they give you to make the character yours?
There's some freedom in there. I mean, there's a lot of things that you have to stick to what's on the page.
Yes.
I think in terms of like my dog. I think in terms of the
He's so cute.
he's really small. I just always forget how small he is. I think it's in terms of in terms of the like presence of the character, you get to
Uh,
play pretty much how you feel it for the
okay.
most part. But when it comes to the like what the story needs for it to move along,
Mm,
you pretty much have to stick to it because it's a running train. And you know any one thing that you do to knock the train off of its tracks will not be like it won't be effective.
yeah.
So I just try to play, you know, everything honest anyway, and I take my notes and direction, and I try to find the middle ground, and you know, I just try my best to be a director's actor because it just makes it easier, and I'm not
Yeah.
creating the role, so
Yeah.
if I were creating it, it'd be very different, but I'm really, you know, following up, you know, a legacy of actors who have played Burr, and there's plenty there, and there's plenty for me to add. You know, I just keep it honest to myself, and um, as long as it's honest to me, and I can find the middle ground between what I want and what the director and the what the show wants, it's very easy. So
Yeah, I mean, that's the challenge I see as an actor, right? Like, not developing the role, like having to do something that's expected from you, but also not copy that. You put
yeah.
your part of it.
Yeah, I would say, I
Yeah.
mean, I got so much practice, honestly, playing Simba. 20, 25 years or 20 or so of actors playing Simba. And,
Right.
you know, we know the cast recording. We know, you know, Brandon Victor Dixon's voice and what he did with it. And Chris Jackson did it. And Wallace
Yes.
Smith. And the list goes on and on. You know, I look up to all those guys. But I mean, I learned very early on in my career, like imitation is flattering, but it's not creation. It's not
Mm.
creativity. So the creativity is really just me trying to find my entry point. And then I take a few, you know, once I know where I sit, I take a few things and, you know, I add, you know, oh, I
Yeah.
remember I saw this guy play it that way. I'll try to add something like that in,
And you
or
do it your way.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, but I still do it my way. I like
of
that choice
course.
that you made, but I'm gonna flip it like this.
Uh-huh.
And it's just like little things. Nothing I don't think anyone would ever notice, but we all do that, you know.
Hmm.
Every person that's ever played the role that I've seen play the role is motivation to me, and I consider myself a student. So
Right.
anytime I've seen it, I'm learning. And I've seen
Did
a few people
your,
play Burr, like
sorry,
maybe
tell me.
5 or 6.
What is it?
I've seen a few people play Burr, maybe like 5 or 6 different guys,
Uh-huh.
maybe
And they all do it in their own different way.
yeah, everyone's completely different. So
Yeah. Did it change a lot the way you had prepare your character by yourself and like the way it developed once you were, with the Hamilton and everything?
absolutely, yeah, because you can only, like I said, you can only take what you get in the show. There's only but so much you can do, um, because you're playing ping pong the entire show. It's very Shakespeare.
Yes.
You don't want to play something that's not real. I can come in planning to play, you know, evil and maniacal
Yeah.
all I want, but if my Hamilton's not asking for that, I can't give that. It doesn't make sense, you know.
Yeah.
So I just try to I have a tool bag of choices and things. All right, well, if Hamilton comes off a little softer, then I can lean in right here.
Mm,
If he's getting real aggressive with me, then I can pull back and just be a little more calm. Or you know, I think
yeah.
of things in that way so that when it comes to me, I got 10 options to respond with. You know,
Right.
for every single thing that I see on stage. So it's not like I'm like pre-orchestrating or anything like that. You know, I think it's just it's easier and better for the show if you're just listening, you know?
Yeah, I mean, that's what an actor does, right? You have to listen, respond. And that's what I love about the show. I mean, I saw it once live and then I've seen the movie and I've
Mhm.
heard the recording, and they're all so different every time I've seen it.
Yeah.
And I just love that, all the choices they're making. And it's the same actors. And I can only
Yeah.
imagine, with other actors, how it might have changed. That's so
Yeah.
exciting that it's always evolving. Hmm.
And I think that's the beauty of the show. Like anytime somebody comes to see the show, it's going to be a completely different experience.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you got 40 something people, or I don't know how many people on stage, 30 something people, who are all different shapes and sizes, different
Yeah.
colors, different textures, and then those people are different from the people you saw doing it before. So
Yeah.
just naturally, the way that the show flows is going to change, and then you have different people directing it in different companies. You have different people in the pit, but we're all telling the same story. It's just shaded differently, you know. I think
Yeah.
that's why the show is so successful because it's almost like it's almost like comic books, right? Like when you
Mm.
watch you read comic books for years and then they kill off one person that was playing the character or they have that person pass the mantle to another person and now all of a sudden it's completely
Yeah.
revived. Like, you know, we saw that with Peter Parker to Miles
Yeah.
Morales.
Batman. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and
For
you know,
sure.
we're gonna see it now with Black Panther. You know,
Hmm.
from T'Challa to Shuri.
Yeah.
And it's just cool. It just makes the story cool in that way if you like really accept that. You know, because
Yeah.
you don't expect, you know, you're gonna get Hamilton regardless, but just don't expect that you're gonna get Hamilton original company every time you go see it.
Yeah, and it tells you a slightly different story. And I mean, what I love about the show, like what you're saying, color, size, it doesn't matter. And I think, I mean, that's what Lynn intended, right? For it to be multicultural, like about immigrants, about like America. And that's
Yeah,
what's exciting. It doesn't matter who plays it, they give their own story, their own background.
yeah, yeah. Because even
Hmm.
just them being just them looking different than the founding fathers did
Yes.
immediately. They don't even have to speak. And if you know that you know George Washington was a white man and you see a black man playing George Washington, it completely feels different. And it's not like
Yeah.
erasure or anything. It's just highlighting
Hmm.
that these stories are still American stories and we're all American, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
our commonality is that we're all American.
So I gotta put you on the spot right now
Uh-oh.
because I've heard you brag about being the Aaron Burr with biggest calves. I would love for you to tell us about your training. I know you're really into that.
Oh my
Um,
God.
I mean, I know the show is very physical. I think with Simba, it was even more physical, right? So
Yeah.
you train a lot. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so I mean, in college, I played sports all my life. I played
Okay.
basketball most of my life, and I ran track, and I was a high jumper in college.
Did you want to be an athlete at some point?
I did. My first
Mm.
love was basketball. I wanted to play in the NBA,
Mm.
and that dream faded around like when I went to performing arts high school. So,
Oh, okay. Okay.
but I really did love basketball, and I still do. I still play here and there. But you know, I love sports. I love all things physical. I'm a dude, like, and,
Uh-huh.
so I just keep up my training. You know, not for anything specific, just because you know I want to stay healthy. I want to stay active.
Hmm.
Um, you know, I want to be in an action movie one day, so I want to look
Okay.
like in
Yeah.
a movie. So I just kind of try to keep that up, and yeah, I work on my calves.
But like, when you're on Hamilton, you have no time, right?
Oh,
How do you do
you have
that?
time. You got everybody
You have
has time,
time?
right? They don't get
Okay.
the same 24 hours we do.
No excuses. Okay. Okay. So when you're in a show, you don't do anything different than when you're not in a show.
There's a few things, you know, I probably pay a little more attention to like my water intake during the day.
Okay.
I give myself grace with my waking up time. If I don't have anything to do in the morning, I let myself rest because
Okay.
rest is key. If you're not rested when you come to the theater, then it's just gonna be a tough night for everybody involved.
Yeah.
So, you know, leading a show is it's really important to do the things outside of the theater, like keeping up with your body and keeping up with your mental health and all that stuff. So,
Uh,
it doesn't change much, but you know, I just say I probably get a little more focused when it comes to being in a show
mm.
with certain things.
Okay. Do you do you think you have to miss out on things or sacrifice things with what you do?
That oh, that's heavy. Um, yeah, you know, I
Okay.
think, but that's not different from. I think the perception is that like that's different from the rest of the world. Everyone makes sacrifices to do certain things. I mean,
Yeah.
there are people with who had dreams of being actors and performers or basketball players or whatever, and they sacrifice those dreams to provide for their families. Just the same as I maybe have sacrificed a little bit to have a career and do something that I love. So we all
Right.
sacrifice in some way. Um, but yeah, I've definitely sacrificed like, time with my family and um, maybe a few friendships along the way, some relationships along the way.
Right.
But I think I'm a firm believer that whoever and whatever is in my life is there for a reason. I am privileged to get to do what I love. And when it comes to like, having a family one day and stuff like that, I won't necessarily let my career get in the way. But I'll just make space for both. I honestly
Right.
think everyone, thousands of people have done it before me. Barack Obama was the president of the United States with two daughters and a wife. So,
Yes.
so like,
Absolutely.
if he can do it, I can be an actor and have
Mhm.
a wife and kids as well and have a home. It's just it has to happen differently for me than it does for a vast majority of people.
Yeah, and I think when you're starting out, right, it's when you have to sacrifice things and maybe
Yeah.
wait
Yeah,
for
I
those
definitely do
things.
think about those things though. Like, if I do have an opportunity to be in movies and stuff like that, movies
Mm.
sometimes take 6 months to shoot, 3 to 6 months or whatever, and
Yeah.
or going on tour again after I have a family, what that's gonna look like. But um, it's not for me to really consider other than just knowing that if I love my family the same way I love my career, I'll make space, I'll find time, I'll make sacrifices in my career for that. And I,
Absolutely.
I try to do that as much as I possibly can now too. If I need to call out and go visit my mom, I do. If I, or if she says I need you to be here, like can you please, then it's a no contest.
Right.
Um, but we all make sacrifices.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, I don't think it's just for like the family stuff you're saying. I feel like, sometimes there's the concept that people don't understand how much hard work and sacrifice goes into making a career.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I go to acting school, then I graduate, or like, because I won this competition, I'm like good looking, I'll go to the movies and I'll make it. There's so many years, what you were saying, you auditioned for so many years for Lion King to make it, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So there's so much that goes into it, and I bet you work very hard for it.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, you sacrifice money just trying to get to get in the
Yeah.
industry. I I graduated with a decent degree and a decent education. Like I could have went and gotten a $60,000 gig, job or
Right.
9 to 5 job or something like that. And but that would have taken away from my opportunities in some way.
Mm.
I wouldn't have had as much time to dedicate to preparing myself for auditions, or my attention would be too far split.
Yeah.
So I did the side gig thing for 5 years, and
Yeah.
my
Well, yeah,
career.
sometimes you have to, like when you're starting
Yeah,
out.
yeah, yeah. You still got to pay the rent, like,
Yeah.
but my career didn't really take off until I found a way to make that my side gig easier, so that I could give more time
Mm.
to performing. Some people.
How many years was that?
I started auditioning when I was 22.
Hmm.
I didn't book anything of substantial like financial um, size until The Color Purple, and then that was when I was 27. So
Wow.
5 years, yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So or yeah, mid 27, 28.
Hmm.
No, 28 actually. So 6 years.
Wow.
Um, I sold shoes at City Sports, sneakers and sports gear at City Sports. I worked at restaurants. I was a personal trainer. I did voice coaching. I did songwriting coaching and creative writing for kids.
Mm.
And I did a bunch of things to just make ends meet. And I had a
Yeah.
bunch of help and support from my family. My mom was so key in helping me to sustain that lifestyle because I was not making it anywhere on my 8.25 an hour that I
Right.
was making at City Sports. So those are the sacrifices you make.
Yeah.
Sure, I could have went off and had some career doing something else and been decent and been paying my rent, but um, at the end of the day, this is what I decided to do, and so I made those sacrifices to get here.
Yeah, it's very inspiring to hear you say that it took you, 6 years. Like sometimes you think, well, I haven't booked anything in a year or two. I should give up acting. It
Yeah,
takes
I mean,
forever. Yeah, and I love what you said about that you made time even with your side gig.
yeah.
So many times actors get like, so I have to pay rent, I have to pay rent, and then you don't get time to do your creative stuff. How are you
Yeah.
gonna get your career going?
There was there's this funny Instagram story that's going around. This girl is like, she's like, if I lost all my money, I'd be okay. Like I don't care. Like I've been broke before. I didn't die. Like, and I really that's true. Like I'm not scared. I've never been scared of not making money.
Right.
Shoot, most of us have not been making money for an entire year now.
Yeah.
So and we're still here.
Yeah.
Most of us are still here.
Yeah.
So.
We're more scared of not acting. That's
Right,
what the
right,
real
right.
fear is, yeah.
Right. I'm more scared of not doing something I love. I'm more scared of not having passion in my life. I'm
Yeah,
I'm more scared of not giving back to the world what was given to me. So, you know,
absolutely.
you figure it out. Money is just a tool, and the more of it you have, the more you can do, obviously. But it's still just a tool. It's a
Yeah.
tool to help you do other things that you want in life. Like I want to own a house, so I need money. If I didn't
Hmm.
have that desire, I would need less money than I need to own a house. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
it's just, I just see it that way, and I don't really get hung up over it.
Yeah, and I truly believe that if you're doing, what your true passion is, at some point it's gonna come.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of people out there not living a life of passion because they are trying to hold on to that idea that money is the end all be all or the job is the
Yeah.
end all be all. People are, there are people out there in careers that they quite honestly should walk away from because it's taking away from. If you're doing something you don't love and it's not in some way feeding something you love, like you can do a job you don't love if you love your family more than your job
Yeah.
because that job helps you provide for your family,
And
right?
then you use that money to do other passions of yours,
Right, and you
yeah.
use that money to do other things, but like if you're just like, miserable,
Yeah.
who is that really helping? Like,
Yeah,
it's
what's
not
the
even helping.
point of your life? Yeah.
Yeah, sure, it's helping your family stay afloat, but you're miserable and you're not giving them what they need the most.
Hmm.
Which is you to be your best, the best version of yourself. So,
Yeah.
um, and there's a lot of theory and talk about that around that, but not to dissuade any nine to fiver because it's not about that. It's just
No,
you should
yeah.
be doing something you're passionate about. You
Yeah.
could be passionate about pushing papers or working for a bank and stuff like that. There's plenty of people out there who are.
Absolutely. Yeah, 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 for
I leave
sure.
those jobs to those people. Like I'm not trying to be
That's not
one.
me. Yeah, I was reading this thing the other day that it said something like if you're not doing your passion and what you're good at, it's actually a very selfish act because you have that gift that you have to share.
Wow, I
And
guess I never thought of it that way. Yeah,
me either. I read it, I was like, whoa, that really does make sense. Like you were given a gift and you have to share it and make a difference with that.
yeah. Have you
So
seen Soul,
yes,
the
yes,
Disney movie? That's what that movie's about. Like
yes.
he spends his whole life thinking that like he was supposed I was destined to perform and be this jazz player, and it's like, yeah, that is a part of who you are, but you were actually destined to help people and to be helped and to connect with people and just enjoy life, and that's what your soul is about. And so I think it's just like a beautiful movie for anybody out there who's like looking for a message. Like Soul is such a good message.
Yeah, I loved it. Yeah. Absolutely. So going back to your fitness, we got very deep here. Let's be something lighter. This is very random, but I'm very into like food and nutrition. Do you follow a special diet?
I used to, but
Okay.
I think that I got so caught up with counting macros and micros and all that stuff that it
Oh
started to
yeah.
actually like take away from my joy of eating. Like I love food, so
Mm,
um, I mean more than anything, I just try to be mindful every time I eat. Like
okay.
I'm not counting calories, but I know I listen to my body. Like
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like I know
Absolutely.
what I should and shouldn't be eating, and like sometimes I indulge and have like some fatty juicy barbecue or something like that. But for the most part, I just stay on on whole foods and stuff like that. Chicken, salmon,
Yeah.
whatever, some rice and some greens or
And
whatever.
you're still fit, and you don't have to count macros and
Yeah, no, I'm
calories.
fit because I love food. Like, like that's
Yeah.
another reason why I keep working out because I got to stay in shape.
Yeah.
Burn your calories.
Yeah, no, but I love that you're saying that. I mean, when I moved to LA, I also got super obsessed with the gym and counting calories. And
Oh
it just
yeah.
got like an addiction. Like,
Mhm. I
like
mean,
counting everything. I can't eat this. Doesn't fit
yeah.
the
I mean,
macros.
it's funny that they call it health and nutrition because you can be very unhealthy about health and
Absolutely.
nutrition. Like there's some people out there who are slaves to their diets, and I
Yes.
just don't want to be that person. So it's balance. Like
Mm-mm.
yes, I like to eat healthy foods. I like to eat foods that are well processed and like, well taken care of before they get to my table.
Yeah.
Um, I don't want to put too much like trash in my body, but I also want to enjoy what I'm eating. You know?
Yeah.
I'm not about to be out here just like eating rabbit food. Like,
And honestly, I think it's not sustainable. At least for me, it wasn't. Like, it
Yeah,
lasted, what, a year? And then,
yeah.
yeah,
I mean, there's some people who are like lifetime alkaline raw vegans, and like that is one of the
sure.
I tip my hat off to those people because it's like one of the tough mastering your diet is one of the toughest disciplines.
It
Like,
is.
it's like a curse.
Mhm.
Distance.
I
Like,
find it especially in America. I'm from Europe, but when I
mhm.
moved to America, like there's so many things around you. Like it's
Right.
all food. Oh,
Completely different in the rest of the world. Like,
yeah.
I hear like I have it's funny like we, at like our American Italian family style
Mhm.
is like that's what you eat at the end of the day after you've eaten four other meals. But in like Italy, that's like they have a four-course meal because that's what like pretty much all they eat
Yes,
all day. Like
yes,
they have
yes.
cigarettes and smoke and drink and have a cup like some wine and stuff like that, and maybe like a little like some bread early in the day. But like
Yeah.
your meal that's their four meals for the day.
Yeah, and also the ingredients, like in themselves, are like healthier than here.
Right, right,
You know,
right.
so
You're here
it
like,
really
oh
makes a
yeah, we're gonna have
difference.
this Italian family style meal after you had pizza and burgers like all day. Like,
Yeah.
not the same.
Yeah, no, Americans are always eating. That was the thing that really surprised me. It's like snacks all day. Like I just in
Yeah,
Spain, I had, my 3 meals. Uh,
absolute greed. It's, I would love to like read a book about someone who like comes to America and like
mm,
learns like food culture like that is completely different here. Like,
yeah, 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 yeah. It is. What about on a show day? Do you like eat before the show, or you're like one of those that like I can't eat before
oh no,
acting?
I eat.
Okay.
Like before the show, I try not to do anything too heavy. Like I'll do something that'll keep me
Hmm.
sustainable through the show. Um,
I know some actors eat like in between scenes or like in the
yeah,
intermission. I couldn't do that.
yeah. I honestly like when I'm on the road, I have like a big breakfast and
Oh.
then I have a big lunch,
Mm.
and at night it's kind of like whatever I need. It's like I don't really need to eat because I've eaten a lot already. So
Okay.
usually I'll just have like a really big lunch. Like when I was on Color Purple, my main thing was like I would go to uh, like whatever restaurant the locals would go to in the
Hmm.
middle of the day, and then I'd have a couple of hours off before go to the gym in the or make breakfast, go to
Uh-huh.
the gym in the morning. Then I go to like the local spot.
Okay.
Then I have a couple hours before the show, get to the theater, do the show,
Mm.
and then I'll come back home and eat something light after that. Like,
The couple hours. That's yeah. That's
yeah, yeah,
exactly it. I can't eat right before it has to be a couple hours for
yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to leave you with all that food talk, and you're gonna have to wait for next week to hear all about Inside Hamilton. Next episode is going to be about Aaron Burr, scenes, songs, all that you can imagine about Hamilton, backstage stories. Everything is going to be in next week's episode. But thank you, Jared, for sharing everything you shared with us this week, and we can't wait to finish to hear your story next week. There is no play of the week this week. Your homework, your play of the week this week is just go watch Hamilton if you haven't. And if you have, you can always rewatch it on Disney Plus. If you don't have Disney Plus or you don't want to get Disney Plus, I'm sure there's like a week free trial, but totally worth it. If you haven't watched Hamilton yet, what are you waiting for? So this will be all for this week. A reminder, if you haven't subscribed on iTunes, do that. It's very helpful for the podcast. And if you can, just leave a review, 5 stars. That's also very helpful for others to find the podcast. And if this is helpful for you, it can also be helpful for others. Also follow the Actors Vow on social media, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. And I will see you next Wednesday.